I never wanted to see there be a super concentration of people in one spot when it comes to off-grid living. I've always advocated for off-grid rights for all and for people to work towards establishing more freedom where they live. And the same goes for making other things legal, such as marijuana, which is highly medicinal, and turn away from the lies of Big Pharma. There's a lot that I can say there. But there's going to be another wave of people leaving the cities, and soon. I'm not predicting the end of the world, but for most of my life, I have been focused on 2025, and I'm not the only one. There's Rand Corporation documents that have speculated about resource wars by 2025. China has been in a race against time to get their military ready for something, even though there's been denial about that, even some people saying that China is going to collapse. I've been on this case for a long, long time. So I'm going to tell you why I ended up in Pagosa Springs and Colorado. It wasn't random. It wasn't lost. It was strategic. It was back in 2007 that I started to warn about this scenario of the invasion of the United States. And so it's taken me some time. It's taken me some time to get ready to speak to you about this. And in my other videos, I talk about the shit I've gone through and looking ethnic, unshaven, without a toilet, living up in Aspen Springs 6. You think that was easy for me? But now I know what it's like to live off grid and be stuck for months and to basically be self-reliant. And to kind of know the psychology of some of the people that are off grid and whether they can be reliable in a disaster and whether off-gridders were humans that met my expectations. See, when I left the city, I was kind of looking for people that were a little bit more down to earth and free of the programming of the New World Order. Not when you're manipulating the Facebook algorithm. And it's unfortunate that some of us have differences of opinion, but we do have one thing in common. And I'll tell you what, there's nobody that's a fan of me and a fan of Trump. But for whatever reason, these people that are fans of Trump and fans of Putin, they keep coming around. And so it's because of people like Bill that I met a couple years ago who was into some of the weird rocks in Colorado. We hit it off. And if I was living near him, I would visit him now, even if we don't see things perfectly. It's when people disrespect others and call names, leftist, snowflake, or they engage in violent rhetoric that we have a problem. When people act like you're their political enemy, when you don't see eye to eye. So in a perfect world, my time in Pagosa would have been a lot more effective meeting some of you out there and telling you about what I knew. But I was aware of, well, let's just say what I would call disinformation, the alternative media in 2014, 15, 16, that was political. And because people want to see their candidate get ahead, they kind of overlooked the fact that people were also being, unfortunately, stereotyped. And you wouldn't want it done to you. And I'll tell you what, China and Russia invade tomorrow, so that's what we're going to get into. Do you have a right to defend your county? The answer is yes. So just keep that in mind. Keep that in mind that a lot of these wars have been manipulated. And as they bring the troops home, it's really about defending the homeland. But this is something that's been foreseen for a long, long time. And you're not going to hear this from Alex Jones. And if you want to follow certain political people out there, do whatever you want. I'm not getting in your way. I'm not protesting nothing. Look, I'm more mad at Antifa than you. Why? Because they made me look bad for being from that place, Portland, Oregon. You think I'm happy with Antifa? Do you not know that I was on InfoWars for megaphoning Antifa single-handedly? Yeah, I got a whole story about that. I busted my ass for the Patriots, if you will, in Portland, Oregon, wanting to be at that time, because I saw it to be a good thing, the Alex Jones of the Pacific Northwest. Well, now I'm back, y'all, and I'm focused on creating a lot of content in 2024. So is Archuleta County a good place to survive World War III and the potential invasion of America? And if you haven't seen my interview yet with Leon, let me give you the coordinates. By the grace of God, you can type in psychic prediction, China-Russia invasion, and boom, okay? So Leon's not political. And Leon and I both agree on some things and disagree on others. But we both agree that people that are way too obsessed with politics come across as people that are possessed. So you're not under attack, but we went deeper into debt, and that was a part of the plan. There's Operation Warp Speed. okay, and who knows what else. So if you want leadership with regards to what's coming with China, I'm putting my safety and my name on the line to do this, to help you, because I'm in this for real. I keep hearing this out. If you're listening to this, you are the resistance. It's a joke, man. You got to think for yourself. Okay, are you going to be happy with these folks down the line when Russia actually starts attacking the U.S.? You know about the hacks in the last year. Certain jurisdictions in the U.S., they hacked in and shut down their 9/11 system. We got China over here. What's the new report? 5 years. 5 years now, they've been inside U.S. infrastructure. Let me bring up the news right now. China eyes Atlantic Naval Base, sparking alarm in Washington as Beijing looks to counter U.S. And of course, there's been predictions that we could be at war with Taiwan by 2024. Okay. So I'm not claiming to be Jesus or an oracle, but I don't believe in an attitude that we're ordinary men. Okay. More on that in some of my other videos. Okay. I'm not Muslim. I don't even label myself Christian. I have labeled myself Gnostic, but actually at present, because I now identify the fake Muslims out there that don't even know the spirituality of their own book at some cases, or their own prophecies. Just like some Christians and Jews. You have a lot of people that are followers. And so let me tell you, there is a spiritual side of the various religions that have been covered up. And if you're not being told the truth about that, then when they use deep fakes to demonize you, the American people, who's going to come to defend you? Before you just are so quick to judge other people, understand that it is a part of the blueprint to take over this nation by creating immorality. And I got a headline here that looks nefarious. Corruption, the silent enemy within China's People's Liberation Army. Vladimir Putin planning for conflict with NATO, warns Estonia. I've shown you articles about mine weapons from China. And they plan to use them in Taiwan. And then we have this buildup at the Texas-Mexico border. Chinese hackers' intrusion into U.S. infrastructure sparks serious concerns. China, Russia no longer seen as top security threats. Public concern shifts to non-traditional risks. So there's lots of different headlines with different perspectives, but we still are on a really fast march up to war. Report identifies more than 100 Chinese websites imitating local news sources. This is important. See, because they want unrest. The Russians and the Chinese want unrest. You see, I'm not for Antifa, but I know they've created fake news, even in Colorado, to dupe the, quote, patriots into thinking that, for example, that Durango Antifa was going to engage in violence in July 2020. That's a small little town. For those of you that aren't familiar with it, they don't have a significant gang like Portland does. Okay. It's pretty mild what happened in Durango. I was there at the time. And I try to talk to some of those supposed anti-racists in Durango. Man, you want to talk about pissed off folks? So I've talked about this for years. They are manipulating both sides. And this so-called woke movement that it has a lot of people upset and defensive isn't really pushing back against racism towards all people. But I want to get back to my point. We're really close to some sort of major disruption. Here, report identifies more than 100 Chinese websites imitating local news sources across 30 nations. So I've seen a lot of articles about this, and I've talked about YouTube interference, the archonic interference over YouTube through the Chinese, and that would be influencing what you see. Videos promoting the idea that the Uyghurs in China are living great lives when they're not. And so, to off-gridders out there like your marijuana, I support you. And I've stood up for off-gridders in 2015. And I blew the whistle when people got involved that I were convinced because of the way they acted were agent provocateurs. And look at them now. Was I right or was I wrong? If you want to talk to me about law and order, if you want to talk to me about Back the Blue, you want to talk to me about these lines, you got to be consistent. And what those guys did and what those guys said was wrong. And I was right to shine the light on that situation. I'm proud of what I did for the people of Costilla County. And because some people were mad at me, because some people were mad at my coverage and confused me for some of those criminals because I want to live in freedom off grid, I was targeted and I chose to leave Archuleta County. I thought I was going to be in Archuleta County to help you people fight the Chinese invasion. And now, that and all that money that I invested in that land, working at Pagosa Brewing for Tony, for that green shed up there on that land and that RV. And that RV came from a woman that watched me confront the insanity of some of the dark aspects of the left in Portland. For those that have been watching me for years, who know my name, they know how long I've been exposing the craziness in Portland, that I'm not a product of that I expose that. And that's why the people of Portland, Oregon were the first demographic to leave me in the gutter. But I'm not going to let it break me. It hasn't broken me, nor has the fact that I had to sell my land at a loss. I'm now somewhere in the U.S., folks, where they are getting away with murder. And I want to be around more diversity, but there's a dark side to that. And there's a lot of poverty here and suffering. But the truth is, I earned every dollar and I worked very hard in different ways for different people to make that money. And even some money came from my mother. One guy was trying to, come up into my world and have it, we helped you before. First of all, you didn't help me. You created bad things for me and you shouldn't talk, so shut your mouth. Okay, what you did was wrong. And you ain't done nothing to stand up for white off-gridders being kicked off their land. Okay? Don't make me angry. Don't even try to go there. You're nothing. Okay, you created a disturbance in my life and you were a part of that, and I'm letting it go. But don't think that you can just do what you're doing and expect God to protect you. What you're doing is wrong. You really do need Jesus. And I went there to a lot of churches, by the way, when I was in Pagosa. And I told them about my feelings about the Chinese invasion. Crossroads Church. Pastor talked to me, but talked to me like I was an idiot. I was stressed out because I'm up there without a gun and I'm hearing my neighbors beat up their women. And here, I hear about, certain people around the world being so demonized, so evil. And I'm up there in Aspen Springs 6, and I'm seeing the worst of it. I'm seeing so many women allowing themselves to be, abused by some of these monster men. And I'm not intervening. I don't have a gun, but it's really sad. And when the cops came up there one night, they were pretty nice to that guy. A lot nicer than I see the cops in the city. It's pretty interesting. We have a problem in America with a lot of outlaws that in some cases overshadow the law-abiding off-gridders. It's not just an issue there. It's an issue in Plata County also. It's an issue in Costilla County. It's an issue in Conejos County. It's an issue in Alamosa County. There is some hoodlum activity in Colorado. There is some cartel presence. There are pedophiles out there. There are tweakers. There are meth labs. But we can actually have a mature conversation if you want to as to how that came to be, if you want to go there. How did it come to be? So many places in America that used to be pristine off-gridder places became dumps. I say, if you do it right, and it's not a matter of having all your permits and paying a bunch of money, but keeping your land clean and allowing compost toilets, but maybe some follow-ups from the county to make sure everybody is in line. And that there isn't any waste going on or contamination. There shouldn't be any contamination or leaking batteries or things of that nature allowed at all. There should be enforcement of those things. Here, the fact of the matter is, and I'm not an expert in this, and I'm not running for office, but I do take what I am doing seriously, which is why I'm back on cable TV, which is why I'll be putting on a show for cable TV. for the people in Portland, Oregon, the city of my birth. Even though they broke my heart, I'm still trying to help those people. A day is going to come where a disaster is likely going to happen, and they're going to be heading east. You think I'm telling them all to go to Pagosa? No. People need to be thinking about what they're going to do to survive where they're going to be, because you are where you're going to be most than likely for some of these events. And maybe you might go somewhere else. You know, at this point, I don't know where I'm going to be. But I know that I'm going to be here and now that I've been back 3 months after taking 3.5 years off. I'm now back on cable TV in Portland with 2 different volunteers, one of which is homeless. You got to understand, there's good homeless that have a soul, that sometimes have been pushed out by this judgmental world, that sometimes throws away an old man, sometimes an old white man, and discards him in the street, even if, in some cases, he's a U.S. veteran who served this country. So wake up. It's not a matter of hating this country when we call it the corruption. I think that there are some good places in Colorado to survive what's to come. There are some caves in Costilla County. And that could be good for a number of things. Archuleta County could be at risk if there are wildfires. There could be a relocation to the prairie area, to the west, if you end up with that type of a natural disaster. There could even be a mass exodus. I have thought about Chimney Rock as a place of great spiritual power. This is a bit much for you guys. But if you want to look up Dionne Fortune, she engaged in magical rituals to counter Nazi Germany. And she used a certain place as like the energy vortex center. It was Glastonbury. It was like an actual spot. And so her and her followers, they did mass meditations on certain symbols and prayers. And they read it via letter, wasn't the internet, and they meditated at the same time. I now have a group in which I am inviting people to engage in mass meditations eventually. Okay, I'm not into black magic or the occult, but I am putting this out there in order to plant a seed. And I'm also inspired by the work of Burl Payne, and I believe that when the sun is active, we become more active. And I have a lot of videos on that. And so it's not just a time of war and sex and war. People don't really know they're affected by it. When the sun is more active, there's more sex and war, more death, and more babies. But it's true. But if we harness that power for a spiritual reason, and we call on the power of Jesus or God, or whatever faith you happen to be, and we're praying at the same time, we may not be able to stop the invasion of America, but we may be able to bring positivity and angels into our own lives, especially for attempting to live a moral life, which is why, you know, a lot of you may have taken it personally when I've looked down upon some of your genocidal rantings, but I just don't think you can do that. I don't think that you can cheer on the death of the people overseas and expect God to look down upon. I know a lot of people are into Norse mythos and Valhalla and Odin, but unfortunately, I'm not seeing the heartfelt love from folks into that stuff, which is why, even though it's a part of my ancestry, I'm sure on my mom's side, doesn't really call me. Gnosticism calls me, calling out the demiurge of the system, how a lot of people are being manipulated by the algorithms. And so if you're involved in conspiracy theories, if you're involved in 9/11 truth, if you're involved in some of these things that are out there on the internet, you need to have discernment whether or not you're dealing with the truth or whether or not you're dealing with the disinformation. You know, if you're listening to my voice now in Colorado, you need to know that in 2015, there's a great deal of fake news regarding those people in Colorado, Virginia, and Florida. Now, why do you think that is? Have you heard about the story of the boy that cried wolf? And so, now I also want to bring up a point about coronavirus. A lot of people now, they don't trust the government. They're not going to take the vaccine for good reason. Of course, they allow certain negative thought forms to be implanted in their brain, but that's another subject. You know, when it comes around and there's going to be a big one, and really people really do need to get away from people, they're not going to believe it's a real thing because it's like they did the fake before. Here we go, fake one. And so now when the real one comes, they'll be all relaxed, they won't have a mask, and they might get really sick. The other thing is there's a lot of concern about the grid going down, and I'm just here to tell you, I don't think you're going to like the ethno state when it comes up. They make it seem like it's going to be nice, blah, 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 they're going to take over, and blah, blah, blah. And then some people deny that's part of the agenda. And I think it is part of the agenda. But it's not really one to benefit white people. It will be one in which Russia and China turn against the U.S. Okay, so a lot of people are lost in the QAnon fantasy land of political worship, and no amount of rationalization seems to work with these people. But I try to work with you time and time again. I'll tell you, subscribe now, like this video, share it with others. And I will help you deprogram from the New World Order, Jedis. I'm going to help you out. For those of you that are in Colorado and elsewhere, you are the real resistance to what's coming, according to Leon. According to Leon, it's your state where you're going to push back and stop the Chinese. I already gave you the coordinates to the video. It's the Chinese, according to Leon, they're going to bring the microchip implant. You hear? You understand what I'm saying? Have you noticed recent news with China and an implant? Right after, same week, Elon Musk has an implant. Did you notice the articles in the last few years about China having some sort of digital currency program in which it's giving free money to its own people? Sounds a lot like Leon's vision. Don't knock it before you try it. Give it a chance. Listen to what he's saying. I've had people that came to my meetups, folks, back in the day that I thought were cool, that heard my interview with Leon. They were like, wow, man, I can't believe you think like China's going to invade. Wow, you're like crazy. Not only are we looking at this possibility, we're looking at the more than likely an increase in tensions as we reach the peak of the solar cycle. We can also see a double peak. And even if nothing happens in this solar peak, we can also see something coming around in the 2030s. So don't think that we're out of the woods. When we cross over from 2025 to 2026 to 2027, right? I hope I'm wrong about 2025. But there are so many times in which I look at the clock and there it is, 2025. So yes, I'm here to warn you about 2025. People of Pagosa and people of the world. What's up, Costilla County in the house? And you guys yourself are going to have a mass exit of people fleeing Denver. Boom, there's going to be events. They're going to be happening all along the Front Range. And I interviewed one person that lives in Pagosa, works at a church. And so she's heard these various prophecies from people that have had visions of these things. It's not just Leon. There's other dreams that I found online. A number of people have had dreams about aspects of Colorado being where there is the resistance. Some of you listening to the sound of my voice now may be a part of what's coming. So, is Southwest Four Corners area good for surviving what's to come? I think that it's an interesting place, a mystical place. And I've seen others online talk about some of the cults there, and I've met some folks there that seem cultish. They may not have a cult, but they have a cult mindset, and they're really off-putting. So there is a pattern of cult-like alpha male personas that will not treat you as an equal in Pagosa. And so if people want to understand some of the vulnerabilities that they face, they need to realize that some of the attitudes predominant there regarding certain outsiders are not healthy. And a lot of your locals, by the way, are effing liars. Nobody wants to work. No. Nobody wants to hire certain people. Nobody wants to hire certain people that might live in Aspen Springs 6 and not have a shower. Tell the truth. Just tell the truth. Because I know the real truth. And if I felt welcome there, I would still be there. If I felt that I had a deeper bond with people in my audience, people would have visited me on that land and we would have had deep conversations about the nature of reality. But when I was there, it was always the sense of a war. And it wasn't natural. It's like our backdrop was natural, but as long as everybody is looking towards the algorithms and YouTube and Google and Gab and all these websites and politicians, you're not really in nature, even if you're smoking marijuana, And so what could have been a beautiful experience for me up in damn hills with damn hill people, it was like a prison situation where, you're out in nature, but you don't know if you're going to get shanked. And certain people coming by that really seem more like spies than friends. Whatever happened to my generator? I don't even care. I hope you enjoy it. I don't care. It's not nice to take people's generator. I was just gone for a few months. Just wow. If you are thinking about going off grid and you want to go where there's freedom, Archuleta County is available, but they probably don't have much land left. And I wasn't going to tell the public about Archuleta County, but you got another YouTuber out there who I'm not a fan of, who talks about the sun dying and stuff. And while he has a lot of valid points and may be charismatic, and, you know, if he treated me with respect, we'd have a great talk. But he won't do that. He won't send me an email saying, bro, I like you. You put out some good content. Let's talk. No. So there's a lot of attitude problems y'all got to work on up in here. And, you know, you got to take some constructive feedback. Just because you up in nature and you got the mountains don't mean you ain't channeling demons. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, where else are you going to, like, have a bunch of beers with strangers? Like, you know what? Let me tell you who needs our love. Hitler needs our love. I say, what? Hitler needs our love. What do you mean Hitler needs our love? Hitler needs our love. And those poor, poor boys down in Pagosa Springs, they're being held back because kids in Africa are getting high-speed Wi-Fi. And those poor kids in Pagosa, they have slow internet. I'm like, oh my God, dude, I have satellite internet and I am just uploading like fat gigafiles up. If they're struggling and they're in town and they're on the grid, wow, I don't even know what to say about that. Let me just say this. When I was in Colorado, I had dental insurance. Where I live now, I don't. The money that was put towards that land went towards my teeth, went towards transportation. It is all gone. Most of you, when you invest in land, you don't get driven off your land back into homelessness, back into poverty. I don't have retirement coming. I gave everything, folks, for those of you who don't even know me, I've given 10 years to Patriot Radio. Do you know John Stottmiller of RBN? Do you know I did a show on RBN? Like, some of you, like, you're not even on page one. But really, you gotta read my book. I'll give it to you for free. I'll take Leon's interview. We'll put it in a Word document. Archie will help when he gets some time. We'll copy and paste it. We'll put every word into a blog, and you can read it, and you can think about this. And as you see Putin threatening the U.S., we'll finish here in a few minutes, and you can get back to your top ramen and whatever you're eating off the grid. How about some of those powdered eggs from Augusto Farms? Y'all should be getting prepared, even if you're in the city. I got a big drum. I got prepared like up the you-know-what when I was there, and then I left it. RV, water containers, everything. I was set, and now I got to rebuild. But I'm coming back, but not there. I'll be back. Oh, don't want to scare you. Not there. And not the Forbidden County, like this is China or something. I'm going somewhere else where I haven't been yet, where there's a whole bunch of bad boys. And yeah, so it's really unfortunate that we don't have more of like a hippie, counterculture type, non-fentanyl taking, like, love and light response to the New World Order involving both left, right, black, white, like true diversity, no offense, and true equality where we have screw Burning Man. Well, let's have our own convention. These are all things I've thought of for years. Why not? Why should things revolve around Burning Man and these friggin' leftist hipsters? Why should things revolve around Alex Jones, Donald Trump? I know you guys are disappointed with Trump, but you feel like you don't have another option. You've got me. You've got me. I promise. Alex the Answer of Planet Earth. If you want to make it happen, we can at least make it happen. It's not a matter of me actually becoming president of Planet Earth. It's a matter of me actually getting my ideas out there, reforming the prison system. If you want to push back against anti-white racism, we can have a conversation about how the people that own these websites are trying to get us to harm each other in these last days. So in these last days, get right with God. I've come to Jesus. I've been confronted by Christians out there in the street that have told me that I have a role to play on this earth, as they said some words to me 1 month before I decided to come back to YouTube. And I wasn't planning to come back, folks, until the summer of 2024. And I feel, though I don't hear God talk to me, I felt an urge within to get back in the ring and talk directly to Portland, Oregon, to talk directly to Pagosa Springs, to talk directly to Costilla County. Who else do I need to talk to? I've defended refugees for a while, but they're not all victims. Why some Muslims aren't victims. That podcast is coming up. So, folks, a lot of you don't understand that I've been on your side the whole time, and I have a lot of info that can help you. And you can help me help others by informing me of the things that need to be discussed in Archuleta County, in Plata County, in Colorado, in the other counties, in Costilla County, in Denver. My email is solarstorm333@proton.me. And check out my podcasts. I rock. I play ZZ Top, right? I play Van Halen. I play a little Megadeth. I play a little Metallica. I rock and talk like something you ain't never seen. And you never ever seen somebody like me on the megaphone. And although Alex Jones has done some good things and he woke me up, there's also some things that I would like to say to Alex Jones. And maybe one day that'll happen through the megaphone, just some constructive feedback, or maybe it'll be done just here on video. But if you want the real deal and the real Alex, you come to the right place. Go to alexyansary.substack.com, enter your email. Come with me if you want to live.